This is the way to look at manufacturing. The strategy should be to skate where the puck is going, not where it is. My name is Jürgen Moors. I'm a coach, I'm a strategic advisor and a consultant, and I'm focusing on manufacturing and digital manufacturing in itself. Now, my motto is securing the future of manufacturing, educating individuals, supporting enterprises. Now, the quote that I just started with comes from Tim Cook and comes from ice hockey. And it's more about looking where an industry is going. All my life I worked in manufacturing and I love this industry and I hate to see it disappear from our society. But manufacturing is also facing a lot of challenges. And that's why I made myself a guardian of manufacturing, and I'm concerned about the manufacturing and where it is going. But on the other hand, I am convinced that with the digital transformation, with the digital tools, and with the speed of technology and innovation that is going on, it can be changed. There are huge opportunities for manufacturing if we can only embrace it. Now, why do I say educating individuals? Well, because in the end, it's the people who will make a difference. It is not just the organizations. It's the people inside those organizations, individuals, groups of people who can actually change the course of manufacturing as it is. And on the other hand side, supporting enterprises, because what we see these days is most of the manufacturing companies are so focused on a certain aspect of their business. They're so optimized, they don't have the time to look at all the opportunities, and sometimes they're just skating in the direction where the puck is, where they actually should skate in the direction where it is going. Now, how did it come so far? Now, if you look at history and you start, let's say, somewhere between the 50s and the 70s of the last century, then the manufacturing industry was one of the first industry, together with the textile industry, where we could actually see a move from the United States, from Europe to Asian or lower wage cost countries. At that time, it was most of the time Japan, and later on that changed. But the first goal was to actually move away from a higher cost labor towards a lower cost labor. Now, between the 70s and the 90s, this was continually going on. And at the same time, you could also see that other industries were actually moving in that direction, other types of industries, whether it was consulting, whether it was IT, they were also more and more offshored, sometimes to the same countries, sometimes to other countries, like, for instance, India. Now, where the original goal was to start from lower wages and bringing down the cost, after a while, because the Asian market was growing, more and more was actually also going to China, especially when you look at the 90s and the beginning of this century. There we see the manufacturing offshoring more and more to China, Vietnam, also to a certain extent to India, mainly because, again, cost of production is lower, but also because the markets there are growing. So you see a movement towards that market, because those would be the markets of the future as well. Now, after a while, also part of the innovation, the whole cycle was also brought there, because it would make it even faster to get to market at that point in time. Now, what we see in the last decade, and what especially made COVID very clear, is that having such a big chunk of your manufacturing offshore from your primary markets makes it challenging when a big disruption happens in the world. And if there's one thing we have learned over the last couple of years, it's just the fact that there are many types of disruption. COVID was one, the wars that are over the world, look at Ukraine, look at the Middle East at the moment. Those are disruptions, and some of them can grow to a big disruption, some can go to a small disruption, but disruptions will be part of it always. And what you saw now is that more and more we got the onshoring movement again. Also in the United States, also in Europe. But there's one big difference with the onshoring. The onshoring happens most of the time when there's a certain political pressure on the one hand side, or there's a huge injection of a grant, either by a certain country or by a certain region, like for instance Europe, before the manufacturing is actually coming back. Now, at the same time, with the digital transformation, with the digital technology evolving, you have a chance of getting this onshoring as well, because it's no longer a huge difference when you bring on a lot of digital technology, whether you produce it, for instance, in the European or in Western countries, or whether you do it in, for instance, China or Asian countries. So the difference is getting smaller and smaller, but still you see that there are still a lot of industries that are still prone to this offshoring, because by design, a lot of companies have their basic manufacturing and the basic research for the manufacturing already offshored. So it's not so easy to bring it back on the one hand side. And on the other hand side, it is the typical approach, the typical reaction, yeah, let's build it there, that we have seen towards our shareholder industry, or towards the shareholders over the last, let's say, couple of decades. So changing that is not so easy. And that's why I think that we should now grasp the opportunity of the digital technology, the changes and the rapid changes that are there, to onshore a lot of the manufacturing industry back here, or to keep a lot of the manufacturing industry back here. But like I said, the challenges will be to bring on board all of the individuals on the one hand side and the companies on the other hand side. And there, I think, lies the biggest challenge in those two groups. And to reach those two groups, you will see that I focus on the one hand side a lot of the technologies like extended reality, Web3, robotics. And I try to bring the message and the opportunities for manufacturing that are there on the one hand side to the individuals, but on the other hand side also towards the enterprises. That way we can get a cross-contamination, and we can also get this flywheel going, because there are so many opportunities. Whether you look at the robotics that I said, extended reality, it's just a matter of looking at it from a different point of view. So many times the focus is still at one small aspect of the manufacturing chain or of the process, because that is what we've taught ourselves for 20, 30 years. That's what lean manufacturing is all about. That's what continuous improvement is all about. It's looking at that same process all the time, and trying to ameliorate it with small incremental steps. But now you get something out there, now you get technologies out there that can actually disrupt this manufacturing process from the beginning and make a huge step. But we as an individual, nor as an enterprise, are used to that on the one hand side. And on the other hand side, you can see there's a lot of fear about that. There's a lot of ignorance about that. And that's where I, as a guardian of manufacturing, actually also want to assist in that aspect. But there is one prerequisite, and that's we should partially give up to always focus on these small steps. We should have the guts to look at our manufacturing, at our business, at our industry from an holistic point of view. When you keep on focusing and zooming in on certain aspects, on a certain silo, it will not work. Technologies like robotics, extended reality, all the aspects and elements that are under Web3, they can revolutionize the manufacturing chain, but not if you focus solely on one aspect or with inside one silo. They can go cross-silo, cross-industry, and that's where the big benefit is. But that takes a leap of faith from the enterprise, but also from a lot of individuals. And that is what I focus upon. Trying to explain what those technologies can actually mean to the people inside manufacturing and to the companies that are active inside manufacturing. And there are a lot of things, but all of our jobs will disappear. We will be out of work. These are, to a big extent, myths. There will be, of course, a lot of changes, and your job, your personal job, could change. But why would you refuse that? Why would you fight against a change? Because you as a person can also grow. You can develop new skills if you go along in this aspect. Same thing is valid for an enterprise. It is not different. Both have a lot of similarities, and we sometimes forget that. So why do I focus on manufacturing? One, I love this industry. I've been in this industry for such a long time. Two, we live in a time where we can actually turn the tide. It will no longer be a discussion from offshoring, onshoring. No, we can do it in a competitive way, anywhere we want, and we will not be dependent of grants anymore. And three, and that's maybe the most important thing, for the individual that is active in manufacturing, there is such a huge opportunity to enrich your own job. And that is something that we often forget, that there is a richness in our job that looks around the corner. And the question is, are you ready to take that